You feel resentful, and then you feel guilty for feeling it. The guilt is understandable. It may also be costing you something. In this video, I'm going to look at why resentment tends to surface at values thresholds and use the integrity wheel to show why it may be one of the most honest signals the values system produces. Lastly, I'll leave you with one question that helps turn it from something to manage into something to follow. Here's what the cycle looks like. The resentment arrives first. You notice it toward a person, a role, a commitment, a version of your life you're supposed to care about. And almost immediately, before you've had a chance to listen to it, the second wave arrives, the guilt. The voice that says, you shouldn't feel this way. You have so much. Other people would be grateful for this. And if the guilt runs deep enough, it tips into something heavier, shame. Shame is a feeling that says something about who you are. And so you suppress the resentment, you manage it, you talk yourself out of it. You find reasons to feel grateful, and for a while, that works. And then the resentment comes back, and the guilt arrives again, and the cycle repeats. What most people never get the chance to do, because the guilt arrives so quickly, is to simply sit with the resentment long enough to ask what it's actually pointing toward. If that cycle sounds familiar, tap the like button. It helps other people carrying this exact weight find this work. There was a long period when I carried resentment toward the institution that kept taking my husband away. I felt like a mistress to the army, and I felt guilty for that because what kind of person resents their partner's service? But the resentment wasn't about the army. It was pointing to a value I hadn't been willing to name. The partnership had been consistently put last. And it took sitting in a divorce busting workshop for professionals, learning what makes a marriage truly irreplaceable, the shared memories that belong to no one else, to recognize what I had stopped noticing myself. If you're carrying something like this, here's why it keeps resurfacing. What I've found is that this feeling is almost always trying to tell you something, and most of us have been trained to ignore it. On the integrity wheel, a framework for locating where you are in your own development, the summer to autumn threshold is where what was tolerated in summer becomes unbearable. In summer, the outer life is functioning, roles are performed, and underneath, small violations of the value system are being quietly absorbed because the structure requires it, because other people depend on you, because you've told yourself, this is what responsibility looks like. Resentment is what the value system produces when those violations have been quiet enough, consistent enough, and long enough to accumulate. It isn't random. It arrives at the threshold, at the moment when the cost of the accumulated violations can no longer be absorbed without being felt. Here is what the wheel shows about resentment that most conversations about this feeling miss. Resentment is almost never about its surface cause. The person, the institution, the commitment you feel resentful toward, that is the location of the feeling. But what the resentment is actually pointing toward is the value that location has been consistently asked to override. You don't resent what doesn't matter to you. The intensity of the resentment is often proportional to the importance of the value being violated. When the resentment keeps returning after you've suppressed it, that's not weakness. That's the value system refusing to be silenced. Something that actually helps. Resentment may be the first honest feeling your body could manage to communicate for your mind to notice. It's not the fairest feeling, not the most considered one, but it can be the first honest one. The one that actually broke through when everything else, the gratitude, the guilt, the obligation, the performance of contentment had been given the stage instead. I began to notice my husband's hands, what they do, what they reach for, what they build and carry, an offer. The resentment had been pointing towards something I had let myself stop seeing, the value of the partnership itself, and what it had actually been holding all along. So the question that changes how you hold this is not, why am I so resentful? The question leads back to the guilt. The question that actually opens something is this: what value is this resentment protecting? Not what caused it. What is it refusing to let go of on your behalf? Because resentment doesn't arise at random. It arises where something you actually value has been consistently given less than it requires. And when you can name that value clearly, without judgment, the resentment stops being noise and starts being information. If this is the work you want to keep doing, new videos are published 2 to 3 times a week, and this is the work we explore together. If you haven't subscribed yet, join us as we explore leading an integrous life together. So here's where I'd like to leave you. Don't try to resolve the resentment today. Don't manage it, justify it, or talk yourself out of it again. Just sit with this one question. What value is this resentment protecting? Not what's causing it. What is it refusing to let go of on your behalf? You don't need to act on the answer today, but you may need to stop pretending that you don't already have one. What did that question surface for you? Let me know in the comments. Resentment points toward a value that's been consistently given less than it needs. But naming the signal is only the beginning of the question. The harder part is answering what you actually value, not what you think you should value, but what's already visible in how you live. In the next video, I'm going to look at why that question stops so many people cold and where the answer actually lives. The right choices and the good feelings are not always the same thing. I'll see you in the next one.